Hi, welcome to Gotta Ping. I'm Mei Ping, the founder of Gotta Ping. As a next-gen leadership coach, I help high-performing young executives and entrepreneurs like you to navigate complex people and problems with top-notch communication and leadership skills to create sustained success. In today's podcast, I explore when does confidence turn into arrogance. As you guys know, I am very active on LinkedIn where I connect with a lot of students, fresh graduates, working professionals from junior staff all the way to managing director level. So recently, one person asked me, how do I know when I'm being confident and when I'm being perceived as arrogant? Is there a difference? Is it good or bad? What should I do? I thought that was a very interesting question, and it was something that will continue to be very relevant whether you are a student presenting a presentation at school, or a fresh graduate looking for a job, or even an experienced professional who attends an interview in hopes of advancing your career. So I live in Asia, and especially in Asia, we need to be more cautious of how we are being perceived because respect is a really big thing here culturally. So it's a very interesting question. So I guess what I ask you is, what do you define as confident? So when you see someone that you define as confident, what kind of qualities do that person have? Is it friendly? They're pretty modest. They have humility. They're pretty joyful, open to support. So first is to really understand, what does confidence mean to you? What would that actually look like? And how do you know if you're meeting a confident person? Right? Because a lot of times we see the world through our own perspective. So a person that is confident, or if you see someone as confident, someone else might see it differently, right? So I think firstly, understand what's your internal compass and what's your internal view of what is good, right? Which is a confident person. And alternatively, also do the same, right? So when you meet people, how do you define an attitude? How do you define a quality or a person that is arrogant? So write down all those qualities and all those telltale signs that gives you the impression that this person is arrogant. So just take a couple of minutes to actually write that down. And this is very important because it's very easy to comment, but if you don't know what good looks like and what bad looks like, it's going to be very difficult to move forward. So put down those couple of notes, right? So this is your impression of the world. And then I'll give you this tip. At the end of the day, confidence comes from within, right? And what kind of a quality do you want to project? I think you need to start there. What kind of quality do you want to project, and how important is it for you to be the master of a subject or even get along with people? I also work with a lot of people from technical backgrounds like accountants, engineers, lawyers, doctors, and the guys from the IT field, the technology field. And one thing I definitely notice is sometimes the way they communicate, even though they think that they're very confident, right? They are, if you're from a technical background, you will likely have a very logical sort of mindset, and the way you express yourself, right, is very methodical, and you may find yourself also insisting on various points. So just some simple examples like that, you may see yourself as, oh yeah, you know what, I'm just being very confident, I'm expressing what I know and I'm sharing what I know, and that's a good thing, right, at least in your mind. However, what you say, it is then overlaid by how you say it. because a lot of my clients and people reach out to me on LinkedIn and tell me that, okay, I got into trouble with my boss, I got into trouble with my team and my clients because I told them what I knew, I told them that what I did and what I know, but they didn't seem to take it well. Then the content really is, the point really is, how did you deliver that? Like, how did you express yourself? Because it's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, right? And this really goes back to what is the kind of relationship and trust that you have with the other person. So understanding who you're talking to, how close you are to that person, like, how long you've known that person, how close you guys have been working together, that really, really helps. Because someone who knows you very well, right, have worked with you for a very long time, may be able to take that joke that's a little bit too far. They might be able to take that extra bit of assertive behavior, and they think that, oh yeah, it's all right, But for someone that don't know you very well, or you may not have established the kind of trust and relationship, that is it doesn't quite work out, right? So at the end of the day, when either you're a corporate professional or you're listening to me as an entrepreneur, it's really important to develop self-awareness. So really understanding kind of what you are, what you're good at, but more importantly, how do you come across to the other person? And if you are you, right, if you're going to hire you and you're going to work with you yourself, would that be a pleasant experience? And really be honest with that answer. Because for most people, it's probably not a very pleasant experience, right? So if you kind of put yourself kind of in someone else's shoes and looking from the outside in, if you find yourself, yep, you know what, actually, I'm a pretty difficult person to work with or talk to, yeah, somebody else probably feels the same, right? In fact, it's not, I mean, I wouldn't recommend you start judging if someone else is like, confident or arrogant until you really know that person and how that person thinks and how they function. But what we can do is to really understand ourselves, right? And how we come across to other people. So I do have other episodes on how to upgrade your workplace soft skills, as well as how to develop self-awareness and how that's important. So you can feel free to check out those episodes after this one. But the main point is this, right? You can be confident, but you can also be friendly. You can also get along with people. You can also create win-win relationships, right? So these are concepts that I highly, highly recommend, because I've spent 11 years as a top performer in corporate across various multinational companies, and these are the real qualities that I see the high performers really able to advance, while everybody else, start feeling a little bit stuck in their career, and it does start to impact their motivation as well. So you want to make sure that you're not in that spot, because it's not a very comfortable space to be in. So before you start judging other people, I would highly recommend, right, take a good look at your current qualities, your characteristics, and always put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? Looking from outside in. If you're your boss, your team manager, your client, and you are dealing with yourself, really ask yourself, like, how likely and how often do you want to deal with you? If the answer is yes, makes sense and so forth, then good. However, if you start looking from the outside in, and then you start justifying, like, well, it's fine, but he's only saying this and she's only saying this because of this, where that's where like logic is fighting you, right? So once you have to put a bunch of justifications, and by kind of that kind of crazy logical reasoning and justification, you would actually sound defensive, and a defensive person is not the nicest person you want to deal with. And a defensive person normally comes across as being slightly arrogant, immature, and these are not good skills that you want tagged to you with, whether, you want to call it your personal brand, right? Executive presence, leadership qualities, whatever term you want to use, being perceived as arrogant and a know-it-all, and really insisting that you're right, a difficult person to work with is definitely not going to help in your career. So hopefully I've given you some perspective on how confidence can easily turn into arrogance, a bit of sharing on how you can identify those kind of qualities in other people as well as yourself. And I wish you all the best in your workplace and career journey. If you have not yet connected, do connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the platform where I am most active. And if I can be of any help to you in your career journey, your career growth, and even your job search and networking strategies, always feel free to reach out. And I wish you all the best. Till next time, see ya. Thank you for joining me today. If we have not yet connected, I look forward to connecting with you. You can find me on my website, www.gotteping.com, on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. The links to my profiles are in this episode's description box. I can't wait for you to join me in the next episode of my Gotta Ping podcast. Till next time, bye!